Welcome students. Please keep yourself tuned in for the third edition of LEAD MasterClass. We'll be going live soon in a couple of minutes with our expert instructor, Apoorva, a lawyer and an entrepreneur by profession. Currently serving as a director of 2 primary schools and has trained thousands of kids all over India. Kids, meanwhile in the comment box, do let us know how excited you feel about today's masterclass. Hello everyone. Welcome to the third edition of LEAD Masterclass. This is your host for the day, Himanshu. At LEAD, we ensure that our students should not only be equipped with excellent academic education, but also with the skills that help them to succeed in life. One of the most important life skills for students, which is required on a day-to-day basis to help you express yourself, to build self-confidence, and even persuade others, is known as public speaking. I hope you all are familiar with that now. Keeping this in mind, we are presenting a LEAD Masterclass on public speaking. Developing public speaking skills can put your child at a big advantage in their career. To help you with the same, we conducted our last LEAD Masterclass with the cricket legend Sunil Gavaskar. Continue boosting your child's public speaking ability by attending the 3-part masterclass session with Apoorva Agarwal, a lawyer and entrepreneur by profession, currently serving as the director of a primary school, Bareilly. We are sure you kids will have a lot to gain from the learnings gathered by her over an extensive 10+ year of experience in public speaking at various levels. Sounds exciting, right? Now, kids, without any further delay, let's hear it from Apoorva. Apoorva, head over to you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's class. First of all, I would like to wish all my children a very happy Children's Day. Today is a special day for all of you and for all of you to feel special. But today is also a great day to learn something new, to learn something that is going to be for your benefit, for the benefit of your future, and that is going to add a lot of skills to your appearance, to your personality. So that is what this class is all about. And I understand that today is a day to celebrate, but at the same time, let's start the celebration by learning something very, very informative. This class is going to be super fun, interesting, and not a very boring class. We're going to have lots of quizzes and activities and also surprise gifts from the LEAD school. Enough reasons for you to stay for 1 hour and listen. Because in today's class, we are going to learn how can you master the art of public speaking. So this is not really my first class with all of you. It's my second class. But to all those who have missed the first class, don't worry at all. First of all, you can always access it on the LEAD School channel. Download the LEAD School app. And of course, the other thing is that I'm going to do the revision before I start teaching something new. So without wasting any time, let us start with today's class about public speaking. So there we go. So what is public speaking? As we're all aware, it was taught in yesterday's class. Now, public speaking, first of all, we're going to revise what we did earlier. So in the earlier class, I covered few basic points. First of all, I covered what is public speaking. Simple, when you speak in front of the audience, which is more than one in number, that is called public speaking. But public speaking, why is it so tough? Why are we doing a masterclass right here to learn public speaking? Because it is a skill that needs to be acquired. And if you already have the skill, it's a skill that needs to be groomed. You should know the right way to speak in public with confidence and clarity. So that is what we did in the last class. We understood what exactly is public speaking. Where can we practice public speaking? If I am speaking to my mother in my home, is it public speaking? Obviously not. It is when you speak to more than one person, to an audience, to a gathering. So for example, you're all school students. You're all sitting, and then one day your teacher asks you in the class that you have to get up and say something. Now that is public speaking. You have a school assembly every morning and you have to go on the stage and speak something about Children's Day. Now that is public speaking. You decide to participate in a debate competition wherein you have to speak for or against the topic in front of a lot of people. That is called public speaking. You go to a party and suddenly you're asked to make a speech. That is called public speaking. But public speaking is governed by your body language, how you appear, how you look, how you make an eye contact, how you walk, how you carry yourself, where do you place your arms, how do you place your shoulders, how well do you place your neck. So that is why in the last class, I also covered the aspect of body language. When you have to go walk on that stage towards the stage to make a mind-boggling speech, your personality should reflect that you're confident and ready to deliver the best speech of your life. That is why, quickly revising, when you are walking, walk straight, not with bent shoulders. Shoulders should be pushed back, look up, make an eye contact, always have a very smiling face, not a grumpy face, because it's going to make you look sick. So please carry a very smiling face while you walk. When you're sitting, make sure that you don't sit like this. You sit with your back straight, you look up, chin up, and a perfect eye contact with the audience. Similarly, when you're standing, make sure that you stand straight with your hands rested well. If you are standing on the podium, make sure that you stand within the podium and your feet and hands should not be visible. All right. And there you go. That is when you will give a first impression to the audience that yes, please take me seriously and listen to what I'm going to say. So, for example, if you would have opened your channel and then suddenly seen a grumpy teacher speaking in a very poor body language, you would have exited it. Why? Because you don't feel like listening to such people. That is the reason why body language forms an essential part of public speaking. And the last thing that I covered in the previous session was stage fright, jitters, nervousness, feeling crazy before going on the stage. And at one point, even thinking, I cannot do it. I cannot go on that stage and make a speech because what if I fail? What if people make fun of me? What if I forget? What if I don't know what to say? So that is what I told you in my previous class. The best way to overcome it is, I know it sounds boring, but it is only by practice. Practice, practice, and practice. If you think that you are someone who gets a panic attack, who feel anxious when you go on the stage, the only thing that can help you overcome that is continuous and constant practice. When you know that you have to make a speech after 2 days, start practicing at home. Start speaking in front of the mirror loudly. Write down your speech from the scratch on your own. Speak in front of your family members. Take their reviews. Ask them, where did I go wrong? What should be my voice tone? Record yourself and speak. And you will get the confidence to speak on the stage. I'm not saying that you won't get jitters. I still do. I'm live in front of so many people. I don't know what are you going to think about me. I don't know what are you going to write in the comment box. But I know one thing, that I am prepared. I am prepared for my class. I'm prepared for anything to go wrong. And that is what giving me the confidence to speak in front of so many people. All right. So this is what we did in the last class. Now, in today's class, we're going to do something interesting and something very, very useful. So if you're out there, please listen carefully and even look carefully, because the first thing that we are going to cover in today's class is self-introduction. One thing जिसमें आप कभी गलत नहीं जा सकते. Why? अगर आप अपना नाम बताने में और अपनी जगह बताने में और your hometown बताने में अटकोगे, if you're going to speak your introduction like my name is my name is Apoorva Agarwal, and I'm from Bareilly. With that expression, with that anxiousness, nobody will take you seriously. And this is the thing which you have to speak the most. If you go on the stage to make a speech or for anything, you can be asked to introduce yourself. So, for example, it's your first day at the class, and the teacher calls you that Apoorva, come here and introduce yourself to others. This is one thing. Everyone expects you to speak fluently, to speak with confidence. Why? Because ये एक ऐसी चीज है जो आपको आपसे ज्यादा कोई नहीं जानता. Nobody knows your introduction better than you. So, introduction, you should speak with great confidence. And that is the reason why I want to tell you how you should introduce yourself. This is the practice that I do in every class of mine. First practice, please come on the stage and introduce yourself. So, basic pointers to remember about introducing yourself. Number one, crisp. Don't speak a long introduction. Nobody's interested. Don't give very minute details of your pet's name, of your brother's name, what does he do, his age, of your lots of hobbies. Don't do that. Make sure that your introduction is crisp, very crisp and short and precise. What is the difference between short and precise? Short means small, right? It should not be that big. Precise should be to the point. It should only have relevant information and not the kind of information which other is not interested to know. So similarly, avoid too much information. What is your hair color? What does your mother like to cook? Things like that. Don't include that. According to the audience, sometimes you have to cater your self-introduction according to the audience and never hesitate. Why do I say never hesitate? Because this is one thing, again, I'm telling you, you should speak confidently and fluently. But how can you do it? How can you speak your introduction with full confidence, with full fluency? There must be a way. And that is what we're going to cover right now. So next slide is supremely important because this slide will tell you one reason why you need to remember your introduction, which is to avoid confusion. So for example, if someone tells you that Apoorva, introduce yourself, and I go like, my name is Apoorva Agarwal, I am 28 years old, I am from Bareilly. My father's name is, my mother's, don't do that. You know your mother's name, you know your father's name. But one thing that can stop you from speaking it fluently is by not knowing the sequence of saying your introduction. If you do not know the right way or the right sequence to introduce yourself, you might appear confused like that boy on the screen. I know everything, but what will come first? What will come later? Should I say my hobbies first? Should I greet first? Or should I first say the introduction? So to avoid all of this, I have a sequence planned for you. Okay, so we are going to cover the sequence. Now, why this is so important for public speaking? Because this is one thing from where you start to speak publicly, which is your introduction. So for example, you're in a class of say 30 students and your teacher decides that I have to select someone for the debate competition, inter-school debate competition that is happening. But for that, I need to know whether that kid speaks fluently or not. Me as a teacher would select students and ask them to introduce themselves. And if they introduce themselves confidently, that is when I'm going to select them. That is the reason why introduction is important. It is the most asked thing for you to do. You will be asked frequently. You're going for some interview. You decide to go to a boarding school. You decide to switch your school. You decide to go for any sort of for a sports interview. They will ask you first thing in future also. They will ask you first thing, introduce yourself. When you're going to go to the college, this introduction is going to be there with you. It is not going to change because these are the informations that stick to you for life. Obviously, your mother's and father's name, your age, your full name, these are the things that are going to be there. So you would know how to speak. So now quickly, let us find out what is the right way, the right sequence to introduce yourself and to speak with confidence. First and foremost rule of speaking is smile and greet. What do I mean by that? When you're on the stage and you're about to say something, the first thing that you should do is smile because that spreads a positive vibe. It tells people that you are supposed to be taken seriously. You should be listened, you should be heard. So smile. Always, even if you're nervous, try to get rid of that nervousness by putting up a nice smiling face. So smile and greet. How are you going to greet? The way you're going to greet is obviously good morning. That is the first thing you should be doing when you are speaking on the stage. Always greet. So you go on the stage, you smile and you say, good morning, everyone. So if there are very few people, take their name. Otherwise, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone present here. All right. So that is how you greet. Then you mention your full name. Never say, I am. Always say, my name is this. Don't say myself. Myself is wrong English. Don't say myself, Apoorva Agarwal. No, that's absolutely wrong English. Always start with my name is or I am. So you can say, my name is Apoorva Agarwal. Mention your full name. Even if you have a middle name, mention that. Then you mention your age. I am 28 years old. Your class and school. Then mention your class. Don't mention your section. Don't say I am from class 5th B of this school. Don't say that. I am of class this and then the school. One thing that you have to remember when you mention the name of your school is you should mention your city, your town. Why? Because it helps people know in which school you are studying. Sometimes there, for example, you say that I'm from Delhi Public School, or you from say XYZ school, which has so many branches out there. So it gets difficult to figure out if you're speaking to a random person. So for example, you go on a summer vacation to your grandmother's place and you meet someone there and they ask you, we're from which school? So you should always mention the town so that they know which town you're from. Then you mention your father's name. One thing, one rule, remember, when we say our father's name, we always put Mr. before that. Okay, so sometimes we often forget and we say, my father's name is Rajiv Sharma. No, try to put a salutation, Mr. Of course, if he's a doctor, please put a doctor. So say, do put Mr. before your father's name. And then mention his occupation, which is obviously an important thing to mention. Mother's name. Always put Mrs. before your mother's name. If she's a doctor, then doctor. If she follows any sort of salutation, put that. But do please mention the salutation. Then mother's occupation. What does she do? Always remember it is important to mention your mother's occupation too. So you cannot avoid that. Then if you have any siblings, don't mention their name. Just mention like I have two siblings or I have an elder sibling. And then your hobbies and then what you wish to become. Okay, so I think it's very easy for us to practice if we have something before us to speak. So there you go. This is the introduction. So if you're there watching this and if you have this on your screen, I think you should repeat with me whenever I tell you. So first thing, as I said, greet, smile and greet. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I am Apoorva Agarwal. I come from Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. Bareilly, and then I have mentioned the town and also the state. I am 10 years old. So this introduction is as per a 10-year-old kid. I am 10 years old and I study in the Gyanaya School, Bareilly. You can always mention the class and you can say, I'm 10 years old and I study in class 5 of the Gyanaya School, Bareilly. My father's name is Mr. Rajiv Sharma. Never say my father's name is. My father's name is Mr. Rajiv Sharma. He's a chartered accountant. My mother's name is Mrs. Pooja Sharma. She is a teacher. Don't mention she's a teacher in which school, which subject she teaches. Just a teacher is fine. I have an elder brother who is an engineer. So you do mention the occupation if your brother is doing something. I love to dance, read, and do public speaking activities. My aim is to become a news anchor. See, it's short and crisp and precise. Not a lot of information. जो information मुझे audience को देनी थी, which I thought is relevant to the person who has asked me, I have just given that information. So going again, I'll speak. Good morning, ma'am. My name is Apoorva Agarwal. I come from Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. I am 10 years old and I study in the Gyanaya School, Bareilly. My father's name is Mr. Rajiv Sharma. He's a chartered accountant. My mother's name is Mrs. Pooja Sharma. She's a teacher. I have an elder brother who is an engineer. I love to dance, read, and do public speaking activities. My aim is to become a news anchor. See, that is how you do it. So remember this sequence and it will, I'll go back again. So remember the sequence and it will help you deliver your self-introduction with confidence. So come back to this video. Once the video is over, take a screenshot of it or click a picture of this, keep it with you for you to remember how you should draft your introduction. All right. So I think this is one way of learning and first step of speaking in front of the audience with confidence. All right. So I think it's a great day to learn something new. So once this class is over, you all are going to stand in front of the mirror and say your introduction aloud. If you have the screen right in front of you, take a screenshot of it or click a picture. But I want you to practice it so that you speak about yourself very confidently. You can say all of this if someone asks you, speak about yourself too. Remember, this is the thing that is going to go with you for a very long time, no matter how old you grow. You would know how to speak. So if today, when I'm 28 years old and someone asks me, Apoorva, introduce yourself, this is the sequence that I'm going to follow. So do remember this. It is one of the most important aspects of speaking. It will give you confidence. Practice by speaking this, by speaking about yourself. All right. So now, because it's Children's Day and it's a special day, we have a mini quiz for you. It's a very, very, very easy quiz. If you know the answer of the quiz, please mention it in the chat box. All right. So it's an easy quiz. You have to mention the answer in the comment box, in the chat box. And some of the students who answer it correctly are going to get a surprise gift from LEAD School. So I think this is huge and this is fun. And because it's easy, you have a lot of chance to win it. So there you go with a small, very interesting and super easy quiz. Okay, quiz time. What all information we should mention in the introduction? A, name. B, city. C, parent's name. D, all of the above. Can you tell me the right answer in the comment box? So tell me what all information we should mention in introduction. A, B, C, or D. Should we mention the name? Should we mention the city? Should we mention the parent's name? Or should we mention all of them? So I want you to mention your correct answer in the chat box. There you go, all of you. We're waiting for the answers from your end. Remember, to the ones who are going to answer it correctly, you might get a chance to win a surprise gift from LEAD School. Who doesn't like free gifts, and especially on Children's Day? So there you go. Don't waste any moment and submit your answers now. Tell me which one is correct. Which one, according to you, is the correct answer to this question? What all information we should mention in introduction? Remember the sequence that I've told you. Remember the information that I've told you that should go in, and then tell me which is the correct option. It's easy. It's very easy. Something that is very easy answerable. So we should have participation from your end.
Apoorva, we have started to get some answers from, I
That's
think
great.
students are very, very enthused about answering this question. I think they believe they know that. So they say that the answer is D, which is all of the above. Is that a correct answer, Apoorva?
Absolutely, yes. That's the correct answer. And see, this was so easy, all of you. D is the correct answer. Why? Because these three things are very important for you to mention in your introduction when you're speaking about yourself on the stage. Name, city, and parents' name. So this is the information that you cannot afford to miss. So I think now we're pretty much clear about how we should be introducing ourselves. So right after this class, stand in front of the mirror, open this video, and find out the introduction that I have for you. Read it aloud. Edit it according to your information. Very easy to edit. Take help from your parents to do that, or from your elder sibling. And I'm sure you're elder enough to do it yourself, but do it today. Don't waste any time. And once you're able to speak it confidently, your battle is half won. You now know something which you're very confident to speak about. All right. So another thing is that now that we are done with our introduction, we know what is public speaking. I also know where can I practice public speaking. But when I say something, do I have to keep in mind something? Like, is there something that I have to keep in mind when I am reading something? Or I just have to read it simply? No. So when you're speaking on the stage, off the stage, anywhere, your tone matters. Tone matters a lot. Why? Because if you do not have an engaging and interesting voice tone, nobody would like to listen to you. And that's the truth. So all of you must be wondering, why is it about others over here? Why do I have to speak so that others listen to me? Why do I have to speak my introduction fluently so that others listen to me? Because that is what public speaking is. You are speaking to the public. You're speaking for the public. So if the public is not interested in listening to you, then there's no point of speaking in public. Then you can probably just go in the room and speak to yourself. But when you're speaking on the stage to the audience is what you have to impress. The public is what you have to impress. And that is why your tone matters. So if I speak to all of you like, hi everyone, in today's class, we're going to cover about public speaking, in which we're going to learn the points, you will not listen to me. Why will you listen to me? Because this tone has no engagement. This tone is so boring, and nobody likes boring these days. So if you are here learning something new on Children's Day, you should be listening to someone who is excited to teach you, who really wants to spend her Children's Day imparting a nice lesson. And that is done only if I speak to you in an interesting voice. So if you see what is voice modulation, it means the fine tuning of the pitch or tone of the voice that helps the audience clearly understand the lecture and the presentation. So if I want you to understand what I'm presenting right here, I have to follow a particular tone, a tone that is interesting, like, wow, okay, I must listen to her. Something that's understandable. What do I mean by understandable? Understandable means that understandable means that you're able to grasp what I'm saying. आपको समझ आ रहा है मैं क्या बोल रही हूँ? It's not going above your head. It's memorable. Memorable. जब हम किसी को कुछ बहुत अच्छे से बोलते हुए सुनते हैं, when we listen someone speak really nicely, it stays with us. So whenever we hear someone making a great speech, whenever we hear someone saying great, whenever we hear these superstars or these great politicians or these batsmen and the cricketers and sports people make a great speech, it stays with us. Why does it stay with us? Because of the way they speak. Effective, whatever I'm saying should be effective. I can't speak rubbish. I can't speak something जिसका कोई मतलब ही नहीं है. I have to speak something which is a learning for all of you. And that is the reason why more voice modulation is important, because voice modulation is all about delivery. It is all about me telling you in a very interesting manner. So that is what is voice modulation. Why it is so important? मैं कुछ भी बोलूं, एक तो आप मुझे बोल रहे हो कॉन्फिडेंटली बोलो, फाइन, आई एम गोइंग टू स्पीक इट कॉन्फिडेंटली. देन यू आर टेलिंग मी आई हैव टू स्पीक फ्लुएंटली. आई एम डूइंग दैट आल्सो, बट नाउ यू हैव कम अप विद अ न्यू थिंग which is that I have to take care of my voice also. Isn't that a lot? It's not a lot. It is very easy to do if you get hold of it, if you practice it. Now why is voice modulation important? मैं कैसे भी बोलूं, इससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है, as long as I'm speaking, as long as I'm speaking what makes sense? No, because again, when we talk about public speaking, the important aspect is that you have to lure the audience. You are all live listening to me. Why are you listening to me? Because you feel like listening to me? Because you think that you're going to learn something from it? Because you think that's going to help you? But will you listen to me if I do not look confident? If I speak without the presentation? If I speak without any sort of engagement? If I speak in a very boring voice tone, like importance of voice modulation, one, allows speaker to draw attention, two, speech becomes interesting. No, you would not like to listen to me. So voice modulation is important so that the public who is sitting in front of you should actually listen to you with all their ears. And then they remember you. They're okay, fine. I remember spending my children's day because I learned something great from this teacher who taught me how to master the art of public speaking. All right, so that is the reason. So when you see, okay, so I have a very great example for you. So when you listen to Big Boss, all right, so we all have been fond of Big Boss. I don't know, you guys are very small if you've watched it before, or if you have heard of cricket commentary. Why do you like cricket? Cricket is boring if you just watch it. You would not like to watch it. But with that commentary at the back, it makes it interesting. And there we go, and there he hits a six, and we can see them running. So you can picturize all of it. Even if you're on the radio, you cannot see the players playing cricket. Even the way the commentator delivers or describes the whole scene, you can picturize it in your head. And that is what is voice modulation. When Big Boss comes and says, Big Boss चाहते हैं आप ये करें, that is voice modulation, because he makes you stop and listen. When we have a movie going on where there is a dialogue at the behind that's happening, the way you like your star deliver the dialogue is only because the way he speaks it. Anybody can be an actor, anybody can be a speaker, a commentator, but it is not that easy. You require that skill to make the audience picturize. So when Sir Sunil Gavaskar speaks, and when he used to do the commentary, and when he used to speak, everyone could picturize how one is batting, where did the ball go, how did the ball go. That is why voice modulation is very important. It draws your attention. It makes you pay attention. The speech becomes interesting. It's all about interesting. Nowadays, we wrap gifts beautifully when we have to give it to someone. Why? So that the person feels like opening the gift. The cakes nowadays are so beautiful and beautifully decorated. Why? Simple cake, they don't have white color ka. No, but you decorate it. Why? Because to the person that you're giving it to, you want them to look at it. You want them to look like, wow. Similarly, if you have written down a speech on a piece of paper, it is of no use if you don't deliver it with the feeling that you have written it with. It has to have emotions, shows confidence. It shows confidence. It shows that whatever you are writing is not cut, copy, paste. It is what you've written, what you've thought, and that is what you've written. It brings clarity in communication. What is clarity in communication? Clarity in communication means I will be able to put forward my point with a great clarity. That is what it is about. And last and the most important thing, it creates an everlasting impression. It creates an impression that you're not going to forget. You will remember that, okay, fine, I attended this class or I heard this commentary. I remember the big boss voice say this. So this is what is extremely important. That is why voice modulation is something that you need to work on to become a public speaker. Some of the don'ts of voice modulation are: never talk in high pitch, never shout. If you have a mic specifically, make sure that before you speak on the stage, you test the mic and see how your voice is sounding. But never shout. You will never be put in a situation where you have to shout and put forward your point. Even if you don't have the mic, do not speak in high pitch, because that is something which disappoints the audience, which makes the audience feel that we this is not what we wanted. It sounds rude. It sounds like you're angry. Stress on words which are important. Now you have to listen to all these points carefully, because the next slide is important and you have to keep all these things in mind. Stress on words which are important. So if I'm saying that today I'm going to take a class on public speaking. So if there's a sentence that I have to say, I'm going to take a live class on public speaking at the LEAD School app. I have to stress on important words. Number one, live. Today, I'm going to take a live masterclass on stress on the topic, public speaking at the stress on the venue, stress on the place we're going to take it, at the LEAD School student app. So this is something extremely important when you're speaking. Stress on the words which are important. If you're making a speech on global warming, if you're making a speech on Children's Day, if you're making a speech on any topic, make sure that you stress on the relevant words. Speak clearly and slowly. Don't run. Bhago mat. You've heard a lot of people say, why are you running? So when my teacher, so I have this habit of speaking very fast otherwise. So when I was in school and I used to say something, my teacher used to say, pura bhago mat. Bhago mat. What does that mean? Stop running. Because it gets very difficult to process what you're saying. So if I speak this like, never talk in high pitch, stress on words which are important, speak clearly and slowly, record yourself and listen. According to me, this is an art. This is a skill that I have, that I can read English so fast and fluently. But that is not solving the purpose. You should always speak clearly and slowly. Clearly means also check your pronunciation. जब भी आप एक speech prepare करते हो and you find words which are very difficult to pronounce and which you think you are not pronouncing correctly, please check their pronunciation before preparing, so that you speak clearly, so that people, for example, it's not Wednesday, it's Wednesday. It is not, these basic terms. It is not resume, it's resume. It is not student, it's students. It is not Children's Day, it's Children's Day. So these are the small things that you have to keep in mind when you are speaking, and your tone should be correct. Record yourself and listen. So now you think, I'm prepared. I know what should be the correct voice tone for the class. How should you be, fixing it? Just take the phone, record yourself, and then listen to yourself. You're always a good critic. जब भी हम किसी की स्पीच सुनते हैं तो हम बता सकते हैं that it was a good speech or a bad speech. So why don't we start with ourselves? This is one of the most important and the best way to improvise your public speaking skills. Record yourself and listen to yourself. You will help understand your flaws better. कि मैं इस चीज में इतनी बार अटका, when I'm saying this word, I sound underconfident. So this is what we have to work on. And then record again and see the difference between the two. So that is what is important when it comes to public speaking. Sound enthusiastic. What does that mean? Don't sound dull. When you're speaking, your voice modulation, your voice tone should be such that you sound very energetic. Like, wow, yes, I love teaching, and that is why I'm here teaching to all the students. But don't sound, oh, it's a Sunday and I have to teach, and fine, I'm going to just teach quickly and just finish my obligation with LEAD School and then go home. Don't do that. If you have taken up something, if you're there on the stage, make use of every opportunity, because that is the only way you're going to create a lasting impression. And obviously, you can create an everlasting impression by being called boring and not interesting. But that is, you should always create a good impression in the minds of the people. A crowd-pleasing speech. What is a crowd-pleasing speech? A one that hears an applaud after you end speaking. So once I went on the stage, so I'll tell you a very interesting story about myself. I was not really good at studies. I was genuinely not at all good at studies. I think I hardly scored a distinction till class 6th. Distinction means 75% and above. But I was good at one thing. I was very good at speaking. Like, I was excellent at speaking, I would say. Kuch bhi, that is one skill I had. And I think I don't know how I acquired it. But you give me anything in Hindi and English, because these are the two languages that I read, and I could speak it fluently. So debate was a thing and recitation was a thing only for the toppers. Sif toppers ko select kiya jata tha to speak in the recitation competition, but somehow one of the teacher noticed me and said, Apoorva, let's just try you and you should participate in this extempore. And I was like, see the extempore, in which you're given a topic holte and you have to speak on the stage. I'm like, I know I speak well, but am I intelligent enough to speak on the topic spontaneously, like without any preparation? So she said, let's try and let's do it. And I went on the stage, and that was my first ever public speaking competition, and I was in class 6th. For all of you, it was an inter-house competition. I was from Red House, and I very confidently kuch to bol ke aa jaungi, and ma'am told me that the topics are not going to be very tough. Okay, to be very true, I don't remember the topic that I had, but I remember the experience very vividly and clearly. So I picked up the topic and I spoke on it, and I came first in that competition. I came first. Why? Because I was good at two things: voice modulation. I knew how to speak, how to lure the audience. And other one, I was confident. I was confident about my speaking skills. I was confident that yes, kuch to bol hi dungi. I'm going to say something. So these are the two things which made me win. And then that applaud. When I stopped speaking, everyone was clapping, the judges and everyone. So that gave me a hint that बाकियों के में तो इतनी तेज applaud नहीं आई थी, मेरे में इतनी अच्छी आई. So I felt confident. And that was just the starting point. I never looked back. And I participated in every single competition possible, was the anchor in every single event of my school. So why am I telling you this story? Because even if you have these things, you can speak very well. And if I can do it, someone who's not really great in studies, someone who was not too much like who did not have an exposure to be on the stage, then you can do it too. All you have to do is master the art of confidence and voice modulation, and it is easy. It's genuinely something which you can learn with practice. Give yourself time. Tell your teacher, I want to be a part of this debate competition that's happening after a month. So I want you to confirm my name and then start practicing, start drilling yourself. Someone who has practiced a lot will always be a winner than the one who does not appear on the stage, appears on the stage without the practice. So please practice. Okay. So this is because it's Children's Day today, and I have selected a beautiful speech by Jawaharlal Nehru ji, in honor of whom we celebrate the day today. So I have selected this speech because I want you to listen to me when I speak it. Okay. So this is the speech that he gave, and I am going to speak, and I want you to notice and observe my voice modulation when I speak it. What are the points that you have to look? The tone that I use, the words that I stress on, the pauses that I take. All right. So there we go on the count of 3, 2, 1. At the stroke of midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. A moment comes, which comes but rarely in history, when we step out from the old to the new, when an age ends, and when the soul of a nation, long suppressed, finds utterance. All right. So this is how you're supposed to speak. Stress on important words. Stroke, midnight hour, India, awake. A moment comes, but rarely in history. Okay. So suddenly from a high tone, I went on a low tone. When we step out from the old to the new, okay, from the old to the new. So you speak like someone, imagine that I'm actually coming out from the old to the new. When an age ends. So this is something which is followed by a soft tone. When an age ends. And when the soul of a nation, long suppressed, finds utterance. All right. So that is what it is. You got to bring emotion in what you speak. Now, one thing that you have to remember from this is wherever there's a comma, I took a pause. After a full stop, I took a pause. So this is what you have to remember when you're speaking. It is extremely important that you put your commas, your punctuations correctly, because वो punctuations आपको ये hint देती हैं as to when you have to change your voice tone, when do you have to take a pause. So when I used to go to my teacher and write a speech, वो मुझसे speech बुलवाती थी. She used to say, Apoorva, get on the stage and say the speech. So I was like, okay. And then she used to take my speech and put commas in between. Why? Because she used to tell me this will help you remember where you have to take a pause. And then she used to circle words which I have to stress on. So that is how you have to practice. जब आप एक speech लिखो, when you've written down your speech that you have to speak, put commas where you should be taking a pause. If अगर मैं इस चीज को ऐसे पढ़ती, at the stroke of the midnight hour when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. This thing has no life. At the stroke of the midnight hour, pause. When the world sleeps, pause. India will awake to life and freedom. Pause. Understood? So your pauses are important. Then circle the words in your speech on which you have to put a stress on. Or take help from your teacher, from your mentor. Ask them, tell me the words that I should be stressing on. Highlight the words which you think you might be pronouncing wrong. Check their pronunciation they speak. Circle the words, or use another way of highlighting the words wherein you have to follow a low pitch. And similarly, wherever you have to follow a high pitch. Okay, so that is what is important. Now, today we learned the introduction, which again, as promised, I think it's a promise from your end to me that you're going to practice it right after the class and learn something new today. And then we learned voice modulation, why it is important. Voice modulation is a very heavy term. It's about your tone. We learned the tone of public speaking. Why is it important to have a correct and a nice tone while speaking in public? So now again, I have a little quiz for all of you. Simple, easy quiz like always. So prepare yourself because the next slide is the quiz. It is going to be an easy quiz. You have to write down your answers in the chat box, in the comment box. Also, everyone, if you have any questions for me on the topic, if you want to ask me anything about the topic, I will take those questions and answer them, try to answer most of them after this quiz. So there you go. So first we will take the quiz. First of all, how to make an effective speech? A, focus on pace, pitch, and tone. B, speak in high pitch. C, speak without a pause. So what is it that you need to know to make an effective speech? If you have to speak in front of the public, then tell me, which option will you follow to make an effective speech? Will you focus on pace, which is your speed, pitch, and tone? Or you will speak in high pitch? Or C, you will speak without a pause? So what is the correct answer? It's very easy answer. Is it A, B, or C? So please write down the correct answer in the chat box for us to know. And then again, as I say, there is a surprise gift waiting for all the participants out there. You might be lucky to win those surprise gift from LEAD School. So yes, quickly. And then I'm going to take up your questions. So quickly, write down in the chat box or the comment box, what is the right answer? How to make an effective speech? A, focus on pace, pitch, and tone, speak in high pitch, or speak without a pause. So there you go.
Yes, Apoorva, we have some answers coming up. So Sonali Bowri says that it's A. Deepika says that it's A. Sarthak Danta says that it's A. Focus on pace, pitch, and tone. Aishwarya Ratna says that it's A. Sunil Patel says that it's B. Rajdeep Chakrabarti says that it's A.
That is amazing because A is actually the correct answer. I think you all grasped really well. You all learned really well, and you understood the whole point of me telling you why it is important to have the correct voice modulation. So thank you so much. And one other thing is, so I think someone, now that we're about to approach the end of the class, I have some questions for me. And the first question that is being asked is what I'm going to cover in the last slide, which is what are the exercises to learn voice modulation? Okay, so now whosoever has asked this question, and for everyone out there, mirror talk, that is your prep talk, that is very important. Stand in front of the mirror. Why does everyone ask you to stand in front of the mirror? Why can't you stand in front of the wall and speak? Because when you stand in front of the mirror, you're able to look at yourself. You're able to look at your expressions. You're able to look at your body language. You're able to look at yourself while speaking. So aapko pata chal jata hai when you're doing a mirror talk, when you're going right or wrong. So, for example, whenever you're dancing or you're doing your exercises, why do you do it in front of the mirror? So that agar kahin pe bhi step galat hota hai, or if your posture goes wrong, you can instantly correct it. All right. Similarly, you speak in front of the mirror so that if ever you go wrong, you correct yourself instantly. All right. So once I remember when I used to speak, meri aadat thi to close my eyes, and I didn't realize it. But then I started talking in front of the mirror and I noticed it instantly that, oh God, Apoorva, you have this habit of closing your eyes while you're speaking. And then I corrected it. So mirror talk is important. and especially to improve your voice modulation, because aapko apne samne you're your own judge. Another thing, as I said again, record and analyze. Now, what to record? Pick up your English book, read a story from that, and record it and analyze. Listen to yourself. You're your best critic. If you feel nahi ho pa raha hai mere se, make your mother listen to it. Or if you have a nice mentor or a teacher or a tutor, ask your tutor or your teacher or mentor to listen to you and tell you that, sir, I want to improve myself. Please tell me. So I had a friend who told me, Apoorva, listen to my voice and tell me where did I go wrong. And then you are going to find out mistakes कि आप sh को s बोलते हो, आप बहुत जल्दी बोलते हो, you don't take appropriate pauses, you speak very loudly. These are the things you will be able to figure out when you record and listen to yourself. Then, of course, the other one is listen to known speakers. So if you have an idol, if you have someone that you really admire, and listen to his or her speeches, listen to her speak, listen to him speak. Just Google YouTube, you will find all sorts of videos of person you love to listen. Write your own speech. When you have to be good at your voice modulation, you have to write your own speech, because जब हम अपनी speech खुद लिखते हैं, हमें पता होता है what are the emotions behind it. How are we supposed to speak, and when are we supposed to take the pauses? Remember, practice kills fear. The only way you can improve your voice modulation or your public speaking skills is by practicing. And the 4 options that I've told you, mirror talk, record and analyze, listen to speakers, write your own speech, are the ways you can improve your speaking skills. Other being, pick up your English textbook and start reading a story from that, or pick up a newspaper, and very effective. So a newspaper has a lot of articles. Just pick any article which sounds interesting to you, which is, for example, you love sports. Then go to the sports section, pick up an article and read that aloud in front of the mirror and record yourself. And that is when you're going to find out your voice modulation. You will improvise a lot. Speak in front of your parents, your friends, ask them to correct yourself if you go wrong. Okay, so we have a few more questions, which is how to give introduction to someone when meeting for a very short time. The introduction that I've told you is a brief, very, very brief introduction. So if you use actually students, all right, your students who are studying in class 6, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So when you have to introduce yourself, the sequence that I've told you is what you have to follow to give that brief introduction. Your name, age, city, your parents' name, your siblings if you have, and a very brief about your hobbies. Just don't mention in detail. Okay, so that is the introduction I've given you, is something that you can follow even if you're meeting someone for a very short time. All right, it's very quick. All right, then, okay, so this is a very interesting question that has been asked by Rajori. That is, ma'am, which English to speak, British or American? Okay, so personally, I also teach pronunciation, and this is one of the most confusing things. Education hota hai ya education hota hai? Schedule hota hai ya schedule hota hai? Kya follow kare? We should follow British English or we should follow American English? Now, please remember this. Both English are correct. But in India, we often follow the British accent. So if you're confused, then your first priority should be to follow the British accent. But if you somehow tend to pronounce words in American accent, it's fine too. Education and education, dono theek hai. But sometimes we pronounce it education. So it is not wrong. American accent is not wrong, but if you're confused which one to follow, then British tops the list, because in India, generally, British accent is followed. So that is what it is about. So today's class, I think, was all about prepping yourself for the first step of public speaking, which is self-introduction. Please, please, please practice your self-introduction today itself. Do not delay, because it's fresh in your mind and you will be able to learn better. Second thing that we learned today is about voice modulation, your pitch, your pace, your tone, how you're supposed to speak. Public speaking is not just about speaking, it is speaking with great impression, with great confidence. Confidence ऐसे ही नहीं आता है, ये आपको दिखाना पड़ता है. It should be visible. So that is what we covered today in today's class. And also we revised about public speaking, the body languages, and about different ways that you can practice public speaking and do voice modulation. So now that I have told you different practices that you should be doing to improve your public speaking skills, there is an assignment for all of you regarding the same. Easy. Pick up a newspaper, pick up an English newspaper or a Hindi newspaper. That's completely fine, but I would say pick up an English newspaper. Just pick up an article that interests you the most. If you like sports, if you like Bollywood, if you like, news, pick up any article. Stand in front of the mirror with the newspaper like this and read that article aloud, keeping in mind the voice modulation technique that I've told you. Okay? Ek cheez ka dhyan rakhna. Remember one thing when you speak, pehle read that article. Circle the words which you think are difficult to pronounce. Check their pronunciation and then figure out, practice kar liya aapne ek bari, you have practiced, okay, fine, this is how I'm supposed to speak. Then stand in front of the mirror, record yourself, ask someone to record you speaking that article with the perfect voice modulation. It's the first step. So that is your assignment, the link of which is there in the description box. So why should you be participating and why should you be submitting this assignment? Because first of all, it's a great exercise for you to become efficient speakers. And of course, the other being who would not want a gift from LEAD School. So yes, so that is the reason you should be participating in the same. The participants are going to get a participation gift or a certificate from LEAD School. And also, it is one very effective way to improvise yourself. So do that. Pick up a newspaper, stand in front of the mirror, and read from the newspaper aloud and ask someone to record you. And before you do the recording, just practice. I'm going to see you all next Sunday, 21st of November, which is the last class. And in that class, we're going to talk about etiquettes, public speaking etiquettes, speaking etiquettes, and all about the different big words, debate, extempore, group discussion, how to do it, how to participate in such competitions and how to ace those competitions. So all set for 21st of November, practice well. All the very best to all of you and to the ones who participated who are going to watch it. Wishing you all a very happy Children's Day. Thank you so much. This is Apoorva Agarwal signing off.